the mic. How are you? How's your Monday going? Well, it's fine. Not. We're going to do some meditation. You don't have to do it. You can just watch background. Sometimes that's just nice. People have told me. I do these meditations on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. They're part of the further emergence work I do. If you're curious about further emergence, I'll explain all about that at the end of the meditation. On Wednesday and Friday we just meditate, but on Monday I do explain what I do for the benefit of people who are new to meditation. So if you're an experienced meditator, if you could just hang on for a bit while I do that. There's lots of different types of meditation. This is what I do. For me it starts with why I would meditate. I'm trying to connect to a part of me that I connect to every night when I go to sleep. Not the dreaming bit, the bit after dreaming. So I'm sort of dreaming and then I drop the bottom of dreaming into deep dreamlessness. So I have no thoughts, no memories, no feelings, no personality, don't really have a body or a bedroom. Everything just disappears. I even disappear. I cease to exist. Register my existence. So that all sounds awful, doesn't it? It sounds like death. Yet I love sleep, and when I wake up in the morning I feel refreshed. So some part of me knows that wherever I go, it's a good place, and that's where I want to go to when I meditate. I just do it consciously. So straight away, first tip, if you're new to meditation, don't try this lying down, because when you lie your eyes, your body is going to think it's time for sleep. So you'll either or you'll back. Those are going to do in meditation. So I encourage you to sit up. You don't have to sit in a lotus position or anything like that. I'm just sitting in a chair. So sit in a chair, but not a big comfortable armchair, because then you'll be into maybe going to sleep again. So a slightly uncomfortable chair. So as I said, my mind can't get into this place that I go to. There's no thoughts. When I go into deep dreamless sleep, there's no thoughts. So it's the same with meditation. My mind I go somewhere. It's almost like I go into a room, and it's like my mind can't get into the room. It's got to sit outside and wait. So my mind makes meditation very boring. So it's important to get my mind on board for the whole process. Now what I do is I just make an arrangement with my mind. I just say, hey, could you just not think for the next 15 minutes while we meditate? And because I've been meditating for a long time, years, my mind is like, yeah, okay, I can do that. Now having your mind on board is really important, but it's not really a big issue when you start, because at the beginning it's a new thing, and minds like new things. So your mind will be like, yeah, wow, meditation, great, lovely. So it'll be into it. Only having your mind on board only really becomes a thing if you want to have a long-term meditation practice. Then into difficulties. So if you are having difficulties with that, you want to help with it, or you think I might be able to help you with it, give us a shout, and I'll see what I can do. I'll give you some sort of response. So my mind is on board. Great. Next thing, stop thinking. Now, stopping thinking is easier. People kind of collapse stopping thinking and stop thinking together. And they're like, oh, I just can't stop my mind from thinking. Stopping your mind from thinking is hard. Maintaining that, that's a bit harder. So regardless of what I'm thinking about, which would be the content of my thoughts, the structure of my thought is always the same. It's always pictures and sound. And when I say sound, I mean internal sound. I'm talking about the external sound. I'm talking about sound, monitoring, conversations, dialogues, arguments you might be having with yourself, all that internal stuff. So if I turn off the pictures and I turn off the sound, that's it. I'm not thinking. And as soon as I do that, I'm into the practice of meditation. The practice of meditation runs parallel to the intention of my meditation. So the intention of my meditation is, as I said, to go to this deep, still, calm, peaceful, Zen-like, that all those words that I used to describe Then the practice of meditation runs parallel to it, and it pretty much goes, I turn off the pictures, I turn off the sound, I bring myself to not thinking. Then some time passes and I just think again, I go, oh, thinking again. Bring myself back to not thinking by turning off the pictures, turning off the sound. Then some time passes and I'm thinking again. I go, oh, thinking again. Turn off the pictures, turn off the sound, bring myself back to thinking. Then some more time passes. I discover I'm thinking again. I go, oh, thinking again. The pictures, turn off the sound, bring myself back to thinking. Then some more time passes and I just, and so on. It's pretty. Every time you discover you're thinking, bring yourself back to not thinking. You do that, you're doing great. Because it's important. Can happen in meditation. It's very easy to get the misconception that in order to meditate correctly, you should have one thought in your head. Which in my experience, 30 plus years of meditation, not my experience, maybe I'm doing it like thinking happens and it's fine. It's actually, it's powerful when this hours going on, right, when you're meditating. There's the one where you are very still and you don't have any thoughts. That's very powerful and it's obvious because you can feel it in your body. You can feel your nervous system settling down, your shoulders dropping a bit. It's all beautiful. There's another power happens when you discover that you're thinking and you bring yourself back to not thinking. It's just not so obvious because there's a space there for your mind to start commenting about the fact that you are thinking. So it's a space there for your mind to kind of go, oh no, I'm thinking again. Oh my God, I'm rubbish at meditation and so on. Which is really funny because it's just another thought to be turned off, right? But the power is, right, if you're like me, the sorts of things that you about are generally from your perspective, meaning I'd be thinking like, why did I say that to that person? Or what am I going to do about that thing? Why did that person say that thing to me? And so on. So let's say I'm in the middle of meditation and I'm thinking and I'm having those kind of thoughts. And then I go, oh, thinking, turn off the pictures, turn off and bring myself back to not thinking. A powerful thing happens there because indirectly what I'm saying to myself and what I'm demonstrating to myself is, that thought that you were having, the one that you thought was you and that you were it. Well, you just made that disappear. Gone. So you're obviously not that thought because you're still here. You're not that thought. In fact, you're not any of your thoughts. You're something else. That's really powerful. And then you do that repeatedly. So the main thing to get is that every time you find yourself thinking, just don't get into a big argument with yourself about it. Just bring yourself back to not thinking. Because there's no right amount of times that you have to do that. That's another thing that my mind and other people's minds like to do is comment on how, because you simple and only have to bring yourself back from thinking 20, 30, 40 times in 15 minutes. And then you might in the afternoon and you might have to bring yourself 100, 300 times, 400 times in 15 minutes. Now, there's a space there for my mind to kind of go, well, the afternoon's meditation was rubbish and the morning one was beautiful. That's not true, though. That's not the way it works. The power is in stopping, is seeing that you're thinking and bringing yourself back. If you do that, that's all you have to do. If you do that, great. You're meditating perfectly. Now, the other thing I do while all that thinking, not thinking business is going on is I become a little bit more conscious of my body and my breathing. So I am sort of scanning my body from my head to my feet, very slowly, very gently, up and down. And I should point out that I'm not thinking. I am just with my intention, because you can kind of go, put your attention on the tips of your fingers. You just automatically go there. It's not a thought. Put your attention on the tip of your nose. It just goes there, okay? Similarly, I'm scanning my body up and down, okay? And anywhere I find tension, go. And I use my out breath to let it go. That's how I become a little bit more conscious of my breathing, because with all the thinking not on, it's very easy to hold your breath or stop breathing altogether. So using my out breath to let tension go is a great way of just becoming it's a gentle way of becoming a bit more conscious of my breathing and helps me breathe a bit more consciously. Then the other thing I do is, as I'm scanning my body up and down, I spend a little bit more time on any structures in my body that go across my body. Mostly my body runs longitudinally, head to toe. Any structures that go across, they're a bit like a log going across a stream. The log picks up all the twigs and the branches, anything else that's coming down the stream. Except in my body, it's not logs and twigs, it's tension. So I spend a little more time on my eyes, because they're transverse sight, my jaw, my tongue, the base of my neck, my shoulder girdle, all my joints are transverse sights as well. So my shoulder, elbow, wrist, fingers, my heart area, my respiratory diaphragm, all my intestines, my pelvic floor, my hips, my knees, my ankles, and my toes. Having a nice quiet room is helpful when you're starting out meditation. The things that triggers thoughts is sound. And as soon as you to meditate, of course, you're hearing, it amplifies, right? Having a quiet room, it just helps have less things to think about. And the other thing I do to help my mind have less things to think about is I set a timer for how long I'm going to meditate. I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes, but if this is the very first time you're meditating, I'd suggest yours for 5 minutes, repeat that 3 times. Because 15 minutes is a long time, I'm not used to it. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it really is. When you've got your eyes closed and you're, not thinking, and your mind is comfortable and it wants to think about something, it will set a timer and it will go, I don't think you set the timer properly, or I think the internet's died. You can't rely on my timer. And it'll want you to kind of do something. So yeah, set it for 5 minutes, repeat that 3 times, then work up to longer periods. Okay. I'm just getting my timer organized. Okay, great. Off we go into the mist. All right, that's time. So, as I said at the beginning, these meditations are part of further emergence work I do. Further emergence is just a name I came up with for what I was seeing a lot in my practice, in my cycle practice, and just generally talking to people, different things. And it's this idea that your body keeps, it stops growing when you become an adult, but you keep growing on the inside. That doesn't stop. That could your whole life. You only have to think about who you were 5 years ago, 4 years ago. It's kind of obvious. You keep growing, you keep changing. And within that growth pattern, there's also a period of accelerated growth. Just like when you were a kid, you might have gone through a period of accelerated growth in your body. You know, they're called growth spurts. You go through inner growth spurts, and they continue on for the rest of your life as well. You know, periods where everything speeds up. But there's a big difference between an inner growth spurt. You know, if you were a kid and you had growth pain to your parents and said, "Oh, my legs are killing me, or my shins are killing me," or whatever, but your parents wouldn't rush you to the hospital. They wouldn't bring you to the doctor. They'd just say, "Oh yeah, pains. You're just going through a growth spurt. It's so uncomfortable, but it'll pass. It's very natural." Much harder to know you're 45 and you're going through an inner spurt, or you're 55, or you're 25. Harder to know that it's natural and it's normal and it'll pass. To feel like there's something wrong, you're broken in some way, fixed. So yeah, it kind of came from that of like working with people who were like, "Oh, there's something wrong with me," and seeing that they're just gone through a growth spurt and going, "No, this is a growth. You're going through a growth spurt," and it passes, and it's natural, and it's difficult, no doubt about it. It can be painful, but it's just normal. So yeah, further emergence came out of that. And I mean, I can see people for one-to-one work with that, but I can only see like 8 people a week, and I'm pretty much full. So the idea is to provide more support, more general kind of support. These meditations are part of it. So obviously meditate along, that's lovely. But if you can't meditate along, it's nice, it can be nice to just have it on the background, to just be, be with someone who is. I know that sounds silly, but that's what people have told me, that they just get a lot from having somebody meditating near them, that helps. To participate, of course, is brilliant, because the more familiar you are with your inner landscape, the more it's easier to deal with these every month. So this one's coming up actually on Saturday. It's the last Saturday of every month, so it'll be the 30th, I think, Saturday. And they are longish, they're like half a day, and we do more meditation, more longer meditation than that. And then there's also a chance to talk and to get feedback and ask questions and sort of see that you're not on your own with it. Because one of the difficult things about going through an inner growth spurt is you can just feel like everything changes very fast, and suddenly nobody understands you. You don't really understand anybody anymore. You don't feel like you fit in your life anymore, or everything just feels all over the place. So going along to a retreat can be helpful, because you can see, oh yeah, there's other people going through the same thing on my own. So then out of the retreat, the podcast audio from those retreats, and then there's the YouTube channel where you can watch little snippets of them, the retreats, and go, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's kind of..." And then what else? I have 4 books, and they're all roughly around the subject of further emergence. So a lot of different support. And if you're still with me, you watched all the way to the end, there's some part of you going, "Yeah, there's something to it. I resonate with this," then I'd encourage you to just let that part know what to do, whether to retreat, get in touch for some one-to-one work,